I lived in Austin, Texas. It started after I saw a few guys messing with the phone line outside my home. I then heard strange clicking noises on my phone. When I would say, "I think someone is listening to the phone call," the call would be terminated instantly. A number of odd events then started to occur around that time. I would lock my door and go to work. When I came home, the door would be unlocked, sometimes even open. This happened 5 days in a row. I would triple check to make sure that the door was locked after the first few times. Nevertheless, it would still be unlocked when I got home. I lived alone. Then my remote control disappeared for about a month. It finally showed up under my mattress when the television was not even in the bedroom. A strange man started visiting my house, offering to mow the lawn. I accepted his offer. He then started asking me all sorts of weird questions. It turned out that he had a room at the hotel behind my house with a window overlooking my backyard. The hotel was way too expensive for a person who made their living mowing lawns to stay there for at least 2 months, when an apartment would have been way cheaper. The cost of the hotel for a month would have been at least $1,000 and probably closer to $1,200. Then, I installed some new fixtures in my apartment, which made it difficult to breathe, so I decided to spend all my time outside until I got the ventilation ducts cleaned out. One night, I was outside on the phone, and I saw a white Suburban with very tinted windows, too tinted according to Texas law. It pulled up into the driveway. When they saw me, they pulled out and drove down the street. The strange thing was that normally, people who did this would turn around and go back to the main street. In my case, they pulled in, pulled out, and continued in the same direction. An hour later, I was still on the phone. I saw the same Suburban pull into my house. They saw me and pulled out again, just like they had done the first time. Because of the toxic fumes in my house from the new fixtures, I decided to sleep in my car that night. As I was trying to fall asleep in the back seat, I saw a man's shadow very close to the car, and I heard him talking to someone else, but it seemed via radio because the man was not actually conversing with anyone and was alone. The neighbor's kids were outside, and I heard him yell, "The neighbors," and he ran off. The neighbors told me that there was a white Suburban with a white lady, well dressed, driving it, and a white man was next to my car, doing something. A poorly dressed, think bum, black man had also gotten out of the Suburban and was watching from the street. The neighbor's kids had pretended to call the police, which provoked them to run off. That was the third visit of the white Suburban with overly tinted windows that night. The next morning, I found soldering paste on my car. The next day, I saw the white Suburban again, and it turned around to follow me when it saw me. I decided to follow it and gave chase for about half an hour before it finally got away. Other things that happened were strange phone calls every night around 3 a.m. that would then hang up. Another person called me out of the blue, and somehow, she brought up the target of harassment. I would also wake up in the middle of the night at the same time every night for no reason at all. This happened for about a month straight. Several nights, a black helicopter circled around my house and focused a spotlight on my house. They would usually circle for about an hour at a time. This happened about 3 or 4 times. I generally responded by giving them the bird. I also continuously saw vehicles parked outside my house, including a white van. The white van would stay parked there for hours at a time, not moving at all. If I knocked on the windows, nobody would answer. I could not see inside the back because it had no windows except for in the rear of the van, and they were tinted. Oftentimes, the van or other cars would arrive outside my house the moment I was leaving for work. Sometimes, I would leave for work and then turn around because I forgot something. Every time, as soon as I arrived, I would see the white van outside my house. I lived alone. On 2 separate occasions, a different police officer showed up at my house. Each claimed that I had dialed 911 and asked to poke around the house. In both cases, I had not dialed 911. I allowed them to poke inside because I had nothing to hide, and I figured that if I didn't, they would have probable cause to suspect a crime had been committed. My mail showed up missing on several occasions, and I would have mail from neighbors. I would have neighbors from a block away bringing my mail to me. I started having a rapid heartbeat and panic attacks. I also had trouble urinating. My prostate expanded and was very painful. When I saw doctors for these problems, they told me it was stress related. I was double charged for all of these medical visits. On my phone bill, I would pay and then get recharged. This happened many times and resulted in thousands of dollars of phone bills. Even though I was a good worker, my boss demoted me and started making me work weekends. My gas tank drained inexplicably. My home computer quit working completely, and I had to reinstall the operating system. At this point, I had gotten married, but my wife would be very angry with me constantly and would not listen to my stalking stories. We got divorced after a year. I got so sick of the harassment, I moved to South America. Here, I have been met by strange, single, white Americans who are traveling alone and quiz me on why I live here. These guys dress and talk like rappers, not typical travelers, and their stories about their history also have contradictions. I know they are some kind of agent. However, since moving here, the harassment has mostly ceased. The agents always carry a Walkman or a CD Walkman, and when I start talking about anything of any importance, they pull it out. I assume it is a recording device. The last time, I removed the batteries and interrogated the agent as to who he was, to no avail. On one occasion, my front door had the door lock unscrewed. The only thing I noticed different in my apartment was that my credit card had the signature panel on the back and the holograph on the front completely scratched off. Hey X, had a weird experience in the woods this weekend. I'll post it, and some other non-in-the-woods OGs, or secondhands maybe. Tell me what you think I experienced and post your own stories, similar or otherwise. This is my first in-the-woods experience. Won't deny a rational explanation, but this is X, so let's have fun. Enjoy. Be me, 23. Neat 22-year-old friend and I get the urge to go see North Woods, cause pretty nature sights. We'll call him Troy. Get to Duluth and see Gooseberry Falls. We suck at planning, so follow our urges and continue further up north on the highway, adjacent to Lake Superior. We want to see Eagle Mountain in Superior National Forest, the highest peak in the state at 2,300 feet. Not that impressive, but pretty cool for a flat state like Minnesota, pick related. Had to drive down a dirt road for nearly 20 minutes to get there, middle of absolutely nowhere. Get to a four-way. Road is closed off ahead with construction fences. Luckily, the parking lot to the trail is on our right at the four-way. Get there late at about 6:30 p.m. and start walking the trail. Area is just dead quiet as soon as we arrive. No wind, but it's already reaching freezing temperatures at night, so not too weird. We passed the last two groups coming back from the summit. It's just us now. No service. Don't realize the hike takes about 6 hours, and no way we'll make it. Hear a couple of birds. Relieved that the area is not totally quiet. Stop just before a creek to toke a bowl. Kind of an old powerful feeling to these woods, but nothing really unwelcoming or negative. I suggest sprinkling some weed down. Never felt like I had to give something to smoke in the woods, but there we were. Thought there would be a chance that Troy would give me a weird look, or say no, since it's his bud, but nope. He's keen on it, and sprinkles some down no question. Said it felt right to do so. Feels like the force was grateful for it. Cool stuff. Continue on. The sun is getting low. Troy speaks up. I kinda hope we see a creature. Boy, shut the fuck up. Play dumb, cause it kinda puts me on edge. Oh, like a squirrel or something. No, like something weird. Bruh. A minute later he says, maybe I shouldn't be asking for that. Don't reply. Get a bit nervous, but figure the weed is making me tweak. The sun is setting, so we turn around. Say we'll come back and make the hike another time. I forgot my phone in the car, so Troy leads with his phone's flashlight. Trek back. Feels like it takes forever. The trail is super rocky, and it's getting dark quickly, so we are speed walking and stumbling back to the trailhead. Almost completely dark at this point, and I hear something from my 4 o'clock, very far away, but fairly loud, enough to hear it while our feet slam on the rocky ground. A short and almost melodic, ha ha ah. What the fuck was that? Can't think of a single animal. Nothing like a crow cawing, it's not gravelly like that. Lived in the woods all my life, and like to think I can ID animals fairly well. Almost sounded like a noise a person could make, but not quite, it's just off. Keep fucking walking. Figure the weed gave me an auditory hallucination, though it never has done before, but that's the only way I can rationalize it in the moment. Just want to focus on getting the hell back to the car. 20 minutes later, it's totally dark. Can barely see the tree line against the sky. Troy suddenly stops and holds his finger up to his mouth, looking at me all seriously. Says he heard an owl or maybe a coyote far off in the distance at his 9 o'clock. 2 completely different sounds, but okay. We keep walking and eventually get back to the car. Describes it later on as a whoo whoo ooh. Best you're gonna get, pal. Hear coyotes all the damn time where I live, and no way. Their yelps are nothing like what we heard, but whatever, let's go home. Next week comes, and I tell him let's go back and conquer that damn trail. He agrees. We pack and head out Friday morning. We agree to do a 2-day trip. Go all the way to the tip of the arrowhead, touch the Canadian border, and check out Grand Portage's State Park waterfall. Absolutely gorgeous area. Look for a rest stop near Eagle Mountain so we can sleep in the car, wake up, and go hike the trail right away. Not much around, but we spot a marked lot on Google Maps near the trail. Looks perfect. Let's go. Realize we're taking the exact same route we took to get to Eagle Mountain's trailhead. We get to that 4-way, and we're supposed to go through that closed road. Guess we're fucked. Suggest sleeping in the parking lot of Eagle Mountain's trailhead, since it's literally right there. Has a bathroom. We can wake up and just start the hike right away. It's already 9:30 p.m, so fuck it, we ball. Pull into the lot. Immediately, we both feel unnerved, but this goes unspoken. Ignore it. Keep in mind we are completely sober and lucid. Get our blankets from the trunk. He sleeps on the driver's side, and I sleep on the passenger side. Have to remind him twice to lock the doors, even though he's usually pretty good about that kind of stuff. Start trying to sleep around 10 p.m. Pretty cozy for being in a car, but can't sleep at all until about midnight. Buddy falls asleep first. Hear him snoring loud as fuck the whole time. Funny, I've stayed overnight with him plenty before, witnessed him passed out at parties for hours, and this is the first I hear him snoring. Sleeping on an incline is supposed to help with snoring, so that makes it even more odd, but don't think much of it. Despite the snoring, I eventually fall asleep maybe 20 minutes after. Have a vivid as fuck dream. Starts off just like real life, so this next bit is the dream I had. I wake up and we're in the car. Hear Troy snoring, literally exactly like real life. I just stare ahead mindlessly for some moments before I look over at my buddy. He is wide awake, sitting up. Snoring has not stopped whatsoever. I just get this sensation that he's thinking exactly what I'm thinking. Something is in the backseat with us, and it's the thing making the snoring sound. Get this sense that if I were to look in the backseat, I would not see anything. It would be shrouded in shadow. Dream has a non-linear shift, and Buddy is pulling out of the lot. The thing is now instead on the roof of the car. Drives at a moderate speed and making sharp turns, trying to whip the thing off, but failing to. I wake up all shaken up. Buddy is still snoring. Don't ever get nightmares. I have ex-brain rot. Take walks in the middle of the night, listening to spooky stories, and have never felt so on edge and unable to calm down. Keep trying to ignore my anxiety and go back to sleep, but I can't. After a half hour, Troy makes a weird, nonsensical noise in his sleep. Indescribable. I am internally freaking the fuck out. I try to wake him up, grab his shoulder, and call his name. He does not wake up. Give up. Another half an hour goes by, and he makes a very similar noise, the same indescribable one. Once again, try and fail to wake him up. Feel like a total schizo at this point, trying to shake the feeling of an unknown presence around, but can't. Image flashes in my mind of a shorter crouched figure right at the back door of my car on my side looking in. Totally shrouded in shadow, so I can't make out any details. Can't explain this coming to my mind. Just a really weird moment for me. Continue to ignore everything. Don't look. I'd like to retain my flesh, thanks. Don't even try to rationalize anything. My mind is kind of racing, and I just keep trying to tell myself everything is fine. Don't feel like myself at all. Buddy wakes up after what feels like forever. Asks me how I slept. Hesitate, but very vaguely tell him the dream. Leave out a lot of detail, cause for some reason, feels wrong to talk about. Tell him about the noises he made. This freaks him out. Says he did not dream. Feels like he barely slept. We both feel insanely on edge, and just decide to stay up and chat since we cannot sleep. It's about 3 AM at this point. Half an hour goes by. 3:30 AM. Suddenly, over the course of a few minutes, we both just feel this gradual shift. Can't explain it, other than the feeling that everything just goes back to normal. No longer feel paranoid or on edge. The atmosphere is just completely different. I wait a while to mention it. It feels like the forest is pitying us. I hardly know what I even meant by that, but it's like we were pulled out of a pocket dimension or some shit like that. Like the forest knew what happened to us and felt empathetic. I don't know. We agree that we both felt the same shift at the same time, where everything went back to normal. Sleep like absolute babies. Wake up and have a perfectly normal hike. So yeah, that's my story X. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. After the hike and everything when we were leaving, we saw that the road was no longer closed. Just felt like a really weird coincidence considering the experience that we had. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed the story so far. If you do and you want to hear more, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel and leave a comment down below, as it lets the algorithm know that you like my content and it promotes it to more people. My goal for the channel is to hit 50,000 subscribers, and we're closing in fast, so thank you, and back to the stories. Well, Halloween just ended, but I guess I'll share a story. Be me, 10 years old in Northeast Oklahoma. My family life is shit, so my aunt practically raises me. I don't mind, because she is fairly well off, at least for Oklahoma standards. She owns over 100 acres of land, and me and my cousin spend most of our time exploring it on ATV. I'm 90% sure it's on an actual Native American burial ground. Arrowheads were a daily find. Me and my cousins would always stumble upon wild shit out there. We saw so many big cats that I genuinely did not know that they were considered cryptids in this part of the world. All this is just to say, the land was fairly untouched and uninhabited. One day, we're making the typical trail, down the hill that we call a mountain, through the woods, and into a little flat plains area. The area is a good 15 to 25 minutes away from my aunt's house, let alone actual civilization. We never go beyond this point because of how dense the trees get, but we're getting kind of bored of doing the same 3 routes. My cousin is a year or 2 older than me, and he urges me to get off of the ATV and go into the woods. Trying to be brave, I grab my $45 Walmart BB gun and go in. We walk for about 10 minutes until we come across a stream and decide to follow it down. As we keep walking, I can't help but notice that I've seen no less than a dozen turtle shells cracked open and split. I also make notice of various cloth tied to trees, shit that looks like it's been there for 50 years, being sun-bleached. This is the only evidence I've seen of humans this far into my aunt's land, so I am a bit spooked. Me and my cousin are both ready to get the fuck out of there, but around this time, we spot some kind of a structure in a clearing. It barely qualifies as a structure. It's more an assortment of logs, branches, and scrap metal, walling around 2 rusted metal posts. Me and my cousin say fuck it, and decide we made it this far, why not? There is an absolutely horrible stench that gets more apparent the closer we get. We approach the fencing, and see a number of animal carcasses, mostly a few squirrels and a deer that have been mutilated, skinned, and left to the elements. I'd describe their states as mostly mummified, but with some surprisingly freshly killed animals in the mix. On a stump in the middle of the structure is a number of shoes that appear to be made for babies. The designs range from modern Spider-Man themed shoes covered in mud to weather-worn leather that sat there for what looks like years. With about 3 seconds to take it all in, me and my cousin stumble out of there and sprint to the ATV. We drive back to my aunt's house, probably going no slower than 50 miles per hour. Nearly flip the vehicle several times. Get back to my aunt's house and hide out in her closet for the rest of the night. I tried to tell folks about it, but I don't think they ever took us very seriously. This is one of those stories that I actually had forgotten until my cousin reminded me of it. Your brain has a way of protecting you, I guess. I don't really remember ever spending time at my aunt's again after that. First time I ever went to Arizona. This would have been halfway through my first year of travel. The first 6 months had been easy. I'd couch surf with people I knew or people I talked to online, so I did not have too much experience with camping. I left a friend's house 2 days before this, caught a ride with a few people, and was maybe 40 miles north of Flagstaff. Had been walking all day and somewhat into the night. Finally decided to call it a night and hiked into the desert a little stay away from the road. Found a nice little rock formation, set my little one-man tent up, crawled inside, and promptly fell asleep. What felt like a few minutes later, my eyes popped open, and I felt my body tense up, like my senses knew something was wrong. I laid there and listened, and that's when I heard some coyotes wandering out the tent. Coyotes, cool, nothing scary. Let's go back to sleep, body. My body was not having any of it. Said fuck it, and laid there looking up at the ceiling of the tent and listening to the coyotes paw around the tent. Then they stopped, like they'd been frozen. Seriously, no noise from them or anything, which I found strange. That's when I heard something else moving towards the tent. It sounded like something being dragged across the ground, sort of like what a full trash bag sounds like if you, well, drag it across a surface. The coyotes start going ballistic then, yipping and barking and growling. Then something hit the side of the tent. Once, twice, 3 times, then a 4th. Meanwhile, the coyotes are getting louder and more frantic. Then one of them screams. Not a human-sounding scream, kind of like a dog yowling in pain, but much higher pitched. I might have shit myself right then. The rest of the pack is going nuts, and from the sound of it, they rushed whatever had come up. The ensuing fight was both quick and extremely brutal by the sound of it. Whatever was fighting the coyotes was not going easy on them, and the coyotes were not backing off, which I thought was weird because I always thought that coyotes would run away from a threat. In the span of 5 minutes, the fighting stopped, and I strained my ears to listen. Nothing. No noise whatsoever. Not any labored breathing like you would expect to hear after a fight like that. No dying sounds, nothing. That is, until I heard the dragging noise again. At this point in my travels, I had not picked up the revolver yet, but I did have a hatchet that I used for woodcutting, and as a deterrent, so I reached over and slid it out of the hoop on my pack and gripped it tightly. The noise got closer and closer, then stopped about 10, maybe 15 feet away. I did not hear anything for another 5 or 6 minutes. Then something hit the side of the tent, and I almost shit myself. Something hit it a few more times. Then things went quiet again. Except, I'm pretty sure if anyone would have been there, they'd have heard my heart beating furiously away. The dragging noise starts back up and moved around my tent slowly, keeping its distance at about the 10-15 foot mark. And every now and then, something would hit the sides of my tent. This all continued until about 45 minutes before sunrise. Then the dragging noise moved away until I could no longer hear it. I lay in my tent until the sun had been up for a good 3 hours, then slowly unzipped it and stepped out. It was a fucking bloodbath. Parts of coyote were everywhere, and I noticed that the things that had been thrown at my tent were chunks of coyote meat. It looked like someone or thing had ripped the pack apart and just tossed the halves willy-nilly all over the place. All except the heads. The heads were arranged on a smaller rock directly across from the tent opening, their faces towards the opening. I looked around, saw coyote tracks, but nothing else. Said fuck this. grabbed my bag, and left the tent. Be me, a couple of months ago. Inherit a gun from an old lady who passed away some weeks ago. It's a Rossi 069, just like pick related, but different grips. It was loaded with 6 unfired rounds, rusted as hell, and primers are probably dead by now. Unload just in case. Take it home, and give it a good clean. Store it loaded in my gun safe, and call it a day. Go to sleep. Had a strange dream about a young man telling everyone he's going to kill his family, and then kill himself. Someone is trying to convince him otherwise. Dream changes to a black room with a strange figure behind this young man. Strange figure says, "It's now, we need to go." Loud boom goes off. Wake up by the fucking sound of it, like it happened in my room just a couple of seconds ago. It's 8 AM. Time to wake up and go to range. Go to gun safe and take another look at the revolver. There is 1 fired cartridge case and 5 unfired rounds now. Shitting cinder blocks by now. Looked around for any holes in my safe, but there were none. Not even powder dust or any burn marks. Wife did not hear anything. No one heard anything. Scared as hell. Sold it to the first guy I saw in the range. Couple of days later, I discovered that this old lady's son killed himself with this gun in his room 8/9 years ago or so. To this day, I don't know if I counted the rounds wrong or if this revolver was really haunted. Not my problem now. I posted this before, but it's been a while. I was told this by my dad once. It was his story. He passed away now. My retelling could be off, but best I can remember is him, his friend's GF camping somewhere out near Fall Creek Reservoir, Oregon, late 80s. Just out of high school, Dad was a long distance runner. They walk from their camp to a bridge, 3 miles from camp. They go out to do some night catfishing. Oregon has shitty little bullheads, but it's a fun pastime. Sometime around 1 or 2 AM, his friend and his GF go back to camp. He keeps fishing for a while. After a bit, he notices something out of the corner of his eye. On the other side of the bridge, where he thinks the road continued. To this day, there is no street lights or anything out there, so the moon is the only light. He sees 2 dots. He says they're about hip high. He stares at them for a while, slowly getting his fishing gear. Then he hears gravel scattered, and the red orbs come rushing toward him. He turns and bolts back to camp. Every now and then he looks back and sees the eyes following him. He gets to his tent and grabs his Marlin 336, 32 cal, and sits in the center of his tent with it until sunrise. He says he could hear it walking around the tent until 30 minutes before first light. Be me, maybe 15 or so year old kid late at night playing with a blowgun. Shooting darts out my bedroom window across the driveway into the fence. Run out of darts, go retrieve them, and repeat a couple of times. Run out again, go down to retrieve my darts again. Something is different this time. Hard to tell what's off. Stand still and listen. Sounds like an animal running down the alley at full speed. Maybe a big dog or something. I'm scared of dogs a bit at the time. Feel like if I turn around, it's going to come jumping over the fence and bite me. Stand there paralyzed with a handful of blowgun darts. Think if it comes near me, I'll stab it with the darts to defend myself. Sounds get louder, closer, louder, closer, louder and closer again. The sound went from maybe being a dog to something that had to be as big as a fucking horse. The sound runs right fucking through the fence gate and down the driveway, like 2 feet away from me. A rush of wind hits me. As it's going by, I track right where the sound is, but don't see a thing. As it turns out, there was a warehouse fire back in the olden times in that town, which ended up killing the entire fire department and a good number of their horses. Here's a quick story about a shadow person encounter that I had at a friend's house. Playing Yugioh with said friend at his kitchen table. Finishing up the duel. Got my ass handed to me. Fucking dinosaur decks. He goes to get a glass of water while I reshuffle my deck for a new game. Look up from my deck to the hallway opposite the kitchen table. There's a silhouette the size of a child standing in the hallway. It doesn't look like any ordinary shadow. It's darker than pitch black. It's as if a hole in reality opened up in the shape of a 4th grader, Upon seeing it, my normal train of thought is immediately derailed. Something speaks in my own voice inside of my head. Only one word. Dog. Shadow immediately disappears. We go back to playing Yugioh. I lose again. There was something wrong with the house. Poltergeist activity, more shadow people, apparitions in that same hallway, etc., etc. His grandmother, who had owned the house, apparently talked to demons, but I never got any further explanation on the matter. A few weird experiences with my niece. My brother and sister-in-law need me to babysit my niece one morning. She's about 1 at the time, so I walk her around the block in a stroller. Get home and make her a bottle, then put her in the crib. Sound asleep.jpg. Go and take a leak really fast. Get back, and my niece's crib has moved 5 feet. Normally up against the wall, now it's in the center of the room. Not too strange, but it presaged the other stuff. Story 2. Babysitting my niece again. This time my brother and sister-in-law are having a date night, so it's in the evening. Play with my niece till about 9 p.m. when she falls asleep. She's around 2 at this point, so no crib. I've spread a blanket on the living room floor. Lay her down. Put a ring of pillows all around her. Go to the kitchen to grab a snack, and when I come back, my niece is lying outside the ring of pillows. She's completely off the blanket. Still fast asleep though. There were a few minor events between story 1 and 2, so by that point, I was thinking there was some paranormal activity afoot. Story 3. Babysitting my niece. It's summertime. I have a blackberry bush in the backyard, and she likes to pick them. We're out there, and I'm taking a picture of her. I check one of the photos to see how it came out. My niece, who's usually rambunctious, is totally silent as I check the photos. Look up. She's staring over my shoulder. Looks scared. I turn and look. For a moment, I'm sure there's a shadow a few feet away, but then it's gone. Niece's eyes are fixed to the spot though. Feels eerie. Pick her up and head inside. Sit her down in her high chair and decide to get some stuff for lunch. Digging through the fridge. As I dig, I'm singing a song that my niece loves. Singing pretty loud because I'm trying to keep her distracted as I grab her food. Like I said, she is rambunctious. Finally get everything I need and turn around. The high chair is empty. I practically drop all the food as I rush into the living room. The back door is wide open. I rush outside, calling out to her, screaming her name. I'm thinking someone broke in and took her. Thinking I'll never find her again. See my brother and sister-in-law's faces in my head. They will never forgive me. She's outside. Oh, thank God. She's standing there with her back to the house. Her arm is raised as if she is holding someone's hand. As I rush towards her, her arm drops like someone let go of her. I reach her and pick her up. I'm actually crying from relief. My niece's face looks like she just doesn't know where she is. Her eyes are far away, and I jostle her a few times until she wakes up. She blinks a few times, looks at me, looks around at the yard, then begins to cry. I bring her inside and don't take my eyes off of her again. Only a few other minor things. That was the worst one though. Can't explain how she got out of her high chair or how she opened the back door. I was happy to find her though. Be me, 12 years old, Poetry, Texas. Live with hippie grandparents. Out playing in the woods. Neighbor kid I have seen a few times comes up to me. I want to show you something. Follow him. Get to a small clearing in the woods. There is a big rock circle on the ground, a bundle of white sheets in the middle. The bundle is like the size of a duffel bag. It's moving. Kid tells me to wait here, runs off. I leave. Go eat lunch with my grandma. Never see the neighbor kid again. Grandma say his family moved away. Rocks are gone a few months later when I find the clearing. Looking back on this, it bothers me. I have no idea what he was trying to show me, nor what was under the shades. I don't know, cult shit maybe, but I never heard of cults being there. Here's another I have saved. My friend has a big red barn in a field behind his house. The first floor was furnished for us to hang out in. The second floor was a storage area, totally full of random crap. You couldn't even see the floor. We'd always sleep there in the summer. About 1 in the morning, we're starting to fall asleep on the ground floor. Suddenly, we hear the sliding door on the second floor open. Hear voices and a lot of movement. Suddenly a lot of voices. People are talking. Sounds like a full-on party up there. Suddenly, we hear a freaking big band jazz start playing, and people dancing. The music gets really weird and surreal. Sounds like it's underwater. The song starts to completely fall apart. Shrieking saxophones and crap. The dancing people start screaming. Dead silence. We went up there in the morning. All the stuff stored up there was moved against the walls. Paranormal experiences. Go on holiday when I was about 6 or 7 years old. Just me, my sister, and my mom. Yes, I'm British. Older brother says he doesn't want to go. Stays at home. Fast forward to middle of the holiday. I'm checking, looking at an ice cream sign. Turn around and see my brother. He approaches me, walks down some steps without moving his legs. The menu is out of date. You have to use the one on the counter. Weird that he has this information. Even weirder that he somehow traveled to another country. But I'm young, so it doesn't really click with me. Get it into my buggy/prime later. Needed it because of a pulled muscle in my leg or something, and my mom takes me to the lift to our hotel room. Brother is still there. Nobody can see him but me. Show him a dead bird on the window ledge. At some point he leaves. Details are fuzzy because it was so many years ago. 2004 at most. A week or two later, we come home. Walk up the stairs to see my mom talking to my brother about a dream he had about being with us at the hotel. He mentions the dead bird. Mom's face literally turns white. We still talk about this sometimes. He never has much to say other than, it was weird. Working as a janitor in my local Polish high school. The school is huge, 4 floors and basement, and it used to be a military base. Like my job, but there was one thing that I always found really troublesome. From time to time, we had those so-called cinema nights. Students and 2 or 3 teachers would come to school at evening and watch movies together. It usually ended around 1 a.m. There was the rule that they can only stay at the ground floor in classrooms. Roaming around school was forbidden, but you know how kids are. Some of them always found a way to sneak out. In most cases, it was either horny couples or pranksters. Anyway, my main job on those nights was to patrol the hallways and find those who lost their way. One time, teacher phones me and says that some girl went to the toilet, did not come back, and when they went to check on her, she was not there. Another boy also disappeared somewhere. Sigh. Start looking for them. Not really scared. I knew the school too well for that, but schools at night have a very specific atmosphere. Went to basement first, stopping from time to time to check if I hear anything. Nothing. For a moment, I think I hear a sound at the stairs behind me, but there is nothing there. Go upstairs. Still nothing. Finally found them at the highest floor. They were trying to go downstairs, but the girl's leg was bitten. Not a specialist, but it looked like some big dog bit her. My first thought was that one of the students brought it with them, but we were checking everyone, so it was not possible. Go downstairs, call doctor. Everybody is shocked, and no one knows anything about this dog, or whatever it was. We asked the kids what exactly happened. In short, they were a couple and wanted to meet in the toilet on the highest floor. The girl was first there, but when she was opening the door to the toilet, something attacked her leg and ran away.